Good day, good afternoon. Hello, how are you? Wherever you are, it's Fiona, obviously, on day 4 of Blind Spot to Breakthrough. So today is super exciting because it's all about you. It's all about you today. So instead of looking at these things or possibilities out there that could be a blind spot, causing you to have a blind spot, today it's all about you. Let's just recap for a moment while t'others get here and I figure and fiddle with that camera. Hi, lovely to see you there. So let's just recap from day 1. First of all, what is a blind spot anyways? Blind spot is what you cannot see, what you are not seeing, but could get in the way of you getting the results that you want in your life, right? So that's what a blind spot is. My job this week has been to alert you, put you into a state of alertness and awareness so that you can begin to, or your mind can be getting busy with seeking out and searching for those blind spots, right? Because look, awareness is so important. If you're aware that there could be a blind spot, and I think it's always best to assume there is, right? Then you start to search and seek it out. If one is blind to it, blinkered, and one doesn't know one's blinkered, then nothing can change, right? And the name of the game is growth. Always. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve. We're here to develop ourselves in every which way, right? We come in these rough diamonds and our job is to polish. So we're polishing ourselves. We're polishing our character so that we have a better experience and a bigger experience of life, right? So let's look at you. Let's look at where you could be a great big blind spot. Where you could have a blind spot on yourself. So let me tell you this little story from years ago. And it just really illustrates how our concept, how your self-concept, how you see yourself can be formed. So I was on a holiday with my son in a little village, beautiful little village town in Cornwall called St. Ives. A lot of people might know that. It's just really beautiful. And this new restaurant was for the first year, I think it was open, had been created there. And it was in this great location. It was overlooking the harbour. And it was very swish. I mean, the design was super cool. It wasn't actually super expensive. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't super expensive. And if you've been to St. Ives recently, you'll probably have seen it. It's just on the corner as you're walking down, you know, that harbour front. And it's all glass fronted. And the main place to sit is on the first floor, which is like floor to ceiling glass. So you're looking out onto the harbour. This most amazing view. I mean, it's amazing. So I was passing that restaurant and there was a man standing holding the hand of his son. And they were looking at the menu, you know, those menus that are in the cabinet at the front. And the little boy was probably, I'd say 7. And he obviously said something to his dad about, can we go there? You know what his dad said? 4 words. Let me just check it is 4 words. Yeah, 4 words. Oh my God. And when I heard those 4 words, I felt a pain. I actually felt a physical pain. And I felt sad because I knew that in those 4 words, in that moment, that little boy's self-concept was, maybe it's too strong to say was being formed, but certainly was being informed, right? In terms of him and his place in life, if you like, right? And those 4 words were, and of course they came from his father, an authority figure, not just a random stranger that one could dismiss. And those 4 words were, that's not for us. Can you see how damaging long term that can be? So I put it to you that this is an opportunity for you to shine a light on you, and any messages, any conditioning, any programming that you may have taken on board from your past, from your parents, from your peers, however well-meaning those individuals may have been. This is an opportunity for you to unpick, to probe and unpick anything and everything. Because look, here's the thing. You now I'm just going to assume you're over 21. You're all looking great. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's just assume that we're all over 21. And therefore, we have freedom. We have freedom to pick and choose, pick and mix who we get to be in this life. And I really do mean that. I really do mean that. William James, the sort of like thought to be the founding father of modern psychology, said that the greatest discovery in the 20th century, was the discovery that human beings could choose their thoughts, could influence their thinking. We can take that a step further, and we can choose how we're going to be and who we're going to be in this life. I left Northern Ireland when I was, I think, 20. You know, I went to university there and I left straight away. And I came to London, and I came with one other person. I didn't know anybody else. I came with one other person. And you see, the great freedom with that is that nobody knows you. They don't have any preconceptions of you, of who you are. So it's a blank canvas in many ways. Can you see that? If this is making sense, guys, let me know. Give me a yes in the thread. If this is resonating with you, give me a me in the thread. Even if it's on replay, I will still see this. So came to London from Northern Ireland, and just had this real sense that I could be anyone, that I could determine and define and design myself afresh, anew, right? And then years later, like maybe 10 years later, I was back in Northern Ireland. I mean, I'd been back on visits to see family, of course, but on this occasion, it was 10 years later, and I was at the funeral of an aunt. And I was going to give like an address, just read something out, whatever they call those things, during the service, right? And I'd been given previously what it is that I should read. And I was in the front row, and my cousin came up to me before the service began, my aunt's daughter, and she pushed something into my hand. She said, "There you go." I said, "Okay, thanks, what's that?" And she said, "Well, you know," I said, "Fiona's probably going to lose that piece of paper I gave her yesterday." Like, what? Like, how? Like, why would I be so irresponsible? Why could I lose the recital that I'm speaking at my aunt's funeral? But here's what was really interesting, folks. what I really saw in that moment, and I'm sharing this with you because I really want to shine a light on how we are perceived, how we could be perceived in our family. And I want you to be aware of that. The fact that I had this great big gap and then came back, it was just, a great opportunity to see that very explicitly. So she obviously, when I thought about it afterwards, saw me as Fiona, the free spirit in the family, who does her own thing, who doesn't follow the rules, but also who maybe couldn't be relied on to do something like that, who would be the one most likely to lose the notes. And it was just really interesting to see that I had a place clearly in the family. My family saw me in a particular way. And I'm saying that to you because I invite you to see where that could be, how that could be playing out for you, because this informs your self-concept. This informs the way you see yourself and the part that you may feel you're playing out in life, or you're here to play out in life. And what I'm saying to you is, no. If it suits you, so be it. Otherwise, you get to choose. So I said this the other day, but I had these new neighbors moved into the area recently, and I was sort of saying hi to them and just, being friendly and that. And the lady was giving me the names of her daughters. And she said, now the youngest is called Dottie. Okay. And she said, and she is Dottie. Dottie by name, Dottie by nature. People, this is disastrous. This is disastrous. Can you see how this works? It's almost like it's almost like, this sounds very explicit, but it is almost like a branding. That an identity is stamped upon one. And before one knows it, one is in that groove and life is unfolding from that self-identity, right? I hope this is making sense. And the reason I want to share all this with you is to encourage you to question everything that you may have taken on board about yourself and expand your horizons, right? See, I was very lucky because my dad was really my first coach. So he indulged, me in as much as he took me seriously. And that's the greatest gift one of the greatest gifts you can give children is to take them seriously. So I remember when I was about 11 and I looked around Northern Ireland one day, I just looked around and I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to live here. This place is too small for me. I need to move out into the wider world. And I'm going to do that. So I had this big epiphany. And I said to my dad, I've really decided, that I'm going to leave Northern Ireland just as soon as I can. It's too small for me. And I think I'm going to be a newsreader. It was in the days when Angela Rippon and Anna Ford were newsreaders, right, for the first time on TV, and I just thought they were fabulous. I said, I definitely think I could be a newsreader. So at the time, my dad said, well, that's really good. I think you might need to soften your accent. Now, I don't want to trigger people. Accents are great. I love accents. Just remember this was a long time ago. And the Queen's English was the only accent that was on the BBC or mainstream television, right? So the accent I had at the time, nobody would have understood what the heck I was saying, right? So I said, yeah, that's true. That's so true. So I literally started talking like this. The next day, I went into school and I'm sure my friends and pals thought, oh, what is she doing now? Yeah. So you get to decide. You get to decide. And my invitation to you is to decide and actually to give yourself a personal contract. Choose the key characteristics that you are embodying, embracing, exuding for yourself. You get to choose. Put it into a contract. So it could be something like, I, and then put your name in. I'm a dynamic, driven, determined woman. You might want to put the word leader in. I, put your name in. I'm just giving you examples here, right? I'm a confident, committed, courageous woman. So whatever those qualities are that you want more of, then you go ahead and you adopt them. You adapt them for yourself. Maxwell Maltz wrote a book in the 1960s, I think. He was a Hollywood plastic surgeon. And he wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. I know. What a title. Anyway, and it was all about the fact that his patients would come to him and they'd want like a new nose or a facelift or something because they wanted to have a different experience of life. They wanted different results. They wanted a bigger life. They wanted more confidence. They wanted to feel better about themselves so that they would do more things or do things more confidently. So what he saw frequently is that that did not work. Sorry guys, if anybody there is planning to have a nose job for those reasons, only joking. It just didn't work. Mainly, overwhelmingly did not work. And what he really concluded is that your self-concept, your identity, how you see yourself, was the number one thing that determined your experience in life, your results in life, because that influenced your confidence and that influenced your actions. It influenced your perspective on life, your approach to life. In other words, perhaps what you would think was possible for you. So it's great for you to challenge everything. And the two words that you want to use from time to time are, why not? Why not? I remember once having this sounds very strange, but it always stayed with me. I was having this manicure with this, I lived in Ibiza at the time, with this Russian manicurist. And she was just so funny. She just had such an approach on life. But, you know, you would say something like what you were planning on doing or what you were thinking on doing. And she just used to say the same thing every time, the same two words. Why not? But it was very much like her whole approach to life was like, why not? Just so I grew up in a small village in Russia doesn't mean that I can't be here and there and all the rest of it. So I just thought it was a good approach to adopt. So my darlings, I feel like I've been talking forever here, but I just wanted to impart that to you. You know, and the truth is, with every client I've ever worked with, and some of you are on here, so you'll know this, the place that I often start is how they see themselves. And my job is to say, why not? Why not? To them. And show them, if you like, why they are perfectly befitted and positioned to do that, to be that, to have that. Now look, we all get to be, I use this word very cautiously, we all get to be realistic, right? I am not going to be an Olympic swimmer, okay? I'm just not. It's not going to happen. I haven't got the body type, haven't got the time, haven't got the desire for that matter. We are all born with and given the gift of heaps of talents, an abundance of talents and flares for all sorts of things. So it's about acknowledging what that drive is that you have, what that enthusiasm is that you have, and aligning that, of course, with your talents, your natural talents. And then thinking, well, why not? Why not me? So what if I didn't go to that school? So what if I didn't come from there? So what if I don't know those people? Like, so what? Like, so what? So what? So, could it be, my darlings, that the biggest blind spot you have is seeing yourself clearly enough, truly enough? I'm going to give you a brief example and then I'll go in a moment, but I have a lovely new client that I took on just 2 weeks ago, and she was has been woefully overworking and woefully undercharging. And I really needed her to see that. And I needed her to see how good she was. And I invited her to collect all her recent testimonials together and really look at the results that she's been helping people to get. The truth is, it's highly unlikely those people would have got those results without her help in that space of time. Because a good coach accelerates things, helps you get results faster and easier. So, she kept saying about things like, oh yes, that client sees the value of coaching. I think they'll probably want to work with me some more. And I said, no, stop. No. That client sees the value of you. Sees the value of you. So take a look at your results. Don't be so hard on yourself, perhaps. Give yourself permission to acknowledge yourself. Maybe you grew up in an environment where, self-praise is no praise. And you weren't encouraged to acknowledge yourself, to see your value, but one must. Like one must. You have to. And it's not a selfish thing. It's not a self-indulgent thing. It's not bragging. It's actually seeing what you're bringing to the party. It's seeing what you've got to offer. Nobody's good at everything. Who cares? We don't need to be. We just need to see the things that we are naturally good at. That's all we need to see. Those 3 things, those 4 things that we are naturally good at. And own it. Own it. Enjoy it. Like, take yourself out to lunch. Seriously. And savor you. Really, savor you. When was the last time you did that? And again, this is not a aren't I fabulous thing. This is like a what I've got. Like what I've got to offer. And how grateful I am to have those things. To contribute. To enjoy. To make my life work. I promise you, I categorically guarantee there is something that you are better at than anyone else you know. You know it, secretly, perhaps, right? It's important for you to know it. I remember once, I know I said I was going to finish and I will in a moment, but I just got to share this one thing with you. I remember once I was listening to this audio cassette, audio book, whatever, in my car. It was when I was living in Ibiza at the time, and is driving on this very narrow coastal road, and there was like a steep drop just down there. And I was listening to Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy's a sort of godfather, of modern marketing. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's really good. Anyway, I was listening to this interview with him. And he said something. And the truth of it struck me. I mean, it struck me. You ever had that happen? When somebody says something or you hear something and it just touches you? It's almost like you already know that's true. And it just touches that part of you. So honestly, I nearly veered off the road. It was so shocking to me what he said. So he was doing this interview, and then the woman said to him, "So Dan, is there anything else that you want to add? There must be something, some little nugget of wisdom that you'd want to share with our listeners today." And he said, "Well, there is one thing. But if I say it, I'm probably going to be more disliked than ever. People will think I'm even more arrogant than they think I am anyways." She said, "No, come on, you got to tell us now you've said that." And he said, "Well, here's an interesting thing. When Napoleon Hill was interviewing all those millionaires for the book Think and Grow Rich, there is something that he discovered that they all had in common. It was a secret, if you like. And what he heard from them was that every single one of them believed secretly that they were better at something than other people, than everyone else, quite frankly. Now, some of you might think that's terribly arrogant. It isn't terribly arrogant, necessarily. Unless, of course, one goes round and is, terribly arrogant and immature and silly. But one doesn't have to be. One can simply take an accurate and truthful inventory, like a taking stock of what you know. And the evidence is there to show you as well in your life from the age of 8 and 9 onwards, however small it was as it was forming, but the evidence is there to show you you are better at something than most other people. Guys, is this making sense? I can't see the comments. Hang on 1 second. Okay, whenever you do a live, could you just make sure that you've got everything you need with you? This is a note to self, because I'm struggling to see the comments, but I'm going to see if I can. Okay, is this making sense, Tina and Sophie? I can see you there. So, if you're really honest, you've either had that awareness, or my invitation to you is to have it. Please have it. Please take yourself out for lunch, or dinner, or coffee, or who knows what, and give yourself permission to take a look. When I was about 10, I remember sitting in the classroom, and Miss Lavery, who was my favorite teacher of all time, I just adored her, was announcing the competition, the writing competition again. So every year we did this writing competition, and it was sponsored by Cadbury's. And it was called the Bourneville Story. Bourneville is this factory in Birmingham in England, where the cocoa beans would come from Kenya and be made into chocolate, lovely purple and red bars of chocolate. So we would be shown this film of this process and all the wonderful glamorous ladies in Kenya collecting the cocoa beans and all of that stuff, and these big baskets on their shoulders, and then eventually ending up in Birmingham in England, turning into bars of chocolate, glossy chocolate, right? So we'd watch the film, and then we would write it up into like an essay, right? Like a journalist piece. But here's the thing. Whenever Ms. Lavery announced the competition again, I do remember so well just sitting there thinking, I'm going to win that competition. Okay, we all know it. Obviously, I didn't say that. You know it, Ms. Lavery. Because I'm the best writer in the class. I'm only sharing that with you guys so that you can do the same thing. And I did win the competition. Of course I did. I always won it every year. So look, I'm not good at everything. I can't draw very good pictures, or I can't paint. There's lots of stuff I can't do. Who cares? I know what I can do. And that's what I invite you to take a look at yourself. So blind spots, be gone. Be gone, be gone, be gone. Enough. Enough coyness. Enough confusion. Today is the day. This is the moment when you give yourself permission to see yourself more clearly and to claim all that you have been given to bring forth into this world. And all of us have enough talents within us to polish and bring forth into the world to make our lives work. Yeah, for our good, yes, and the good of all. Absolutely. All right, my darlings, I am thrilled to be with you. I'll be here tomorrow at the same time. Your homework is to take yourself out to lunch or dinner or a glass of wine or tea or coffee, but have some quality time with yourself where you have this conversation and you claim all that you have available for you. Peel back the curtains, peel back the veil, and see yourself in all your God-given glory. All right, my darlings, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love. And by the way, if you want to, while we're going through this challenge every day, if you would like to send me a message, if there's anything you want to share with me that you don't want to put here in the thread, you can feel free to do that. I will absolutely see that, and I will absolutely get back to you. All right, my darlings, have an